So earlier this month, Jehovah's Witness governing body member David Splane dropped his hot new mixtape, Wouldn't It Be Great? It's a talk announcing the new Bible study program that witnesses are going to start instituting using a new publication, and it is a truly bug-nuts, condescending, and I think revealing talk that kind of gives away Watchtower's entire grift.
Listen as Brother David Splane delivers the talk. Wouldn't it be great?
We don't just want to report Bible studies. We want to make disciples. That's what Jesus told us to do. Go, make disciples, baptizing them. Now, when it comes to reporting Bible studies, we're doing very well. Worldwide, we're reporting about 10 million Bible studies. And when you think of it, in many cases, more than one person is sitting in on that study. So it could be that between 12 and 15 million people are studying the Bible with us. But now, what about the make disciples part of it? Well, every year, between 200 and 300,000 people are baptized. So you can see that the make disciples part is lagging behind the reporting Bible studies part. Now, this trend has been a concern of the governing bodies for a number of years. And we wondered, why is it that so many people are not taking a stand for the truth?
Google, the internet, generally. But apparently not, because he goes on.
You can probably think of a number of reasons yourself. Some people, for example, are quite happy to learn what the Bible teaches, but they're not willing to act on what the Bible teaches. They're not willing to make drastic changes in their life. Some may have studied through a whole book, or maybe two, but they haven't been to a single meeting. Maybe one, maybe the memorial once.
So this is David's thesis statement. We have plenty of Bible studies, but not enough folks are converting. In fact, only something like 3% are converting. So like 97% of our studies aren't converting, don't become Jehovah's Witnesses. And it couldn't be that our message is unappealing. It must be the packaging. You know, our turd sandwich isn't selling. Let's try a different kind of bread. But it's here that Splane goes on to list reasons why Bible studies, potential Jehovah's Witness converts, don't end up committing to the religion.
Maybe the study isn't regular. Maybe it isn't consistent. Maybe the student often cancels, or maybe the publisher often cancels. Well, if a study isn't regular, it's pretty hard for the person to make progress, isn't it? And in many cases, kind-hearted publishers just can't bring themselves to stop the study when no progress is being made. Or they may say, if I stop the study, I won't have a study. I like having a Bible study. Well, we're talking about progressive Bible studies, and that's a challenge. It's not easy to conduct a progressive Bible study. There are so many factors to consider. For example, how early do I bring in prayer? How do I direct interest to the organization? How early should I mention the meetings? And what do I do if my Bible student doesn't show up at the meeting? What about opposition? That can be tricky. Bring it up too soon, and you might scare them off. Wait too long, and it may be too late. And what about the ministry? How do I encourage my Bible student to share what he is learning with others? These are a lot of challenges. And don't even mention helping my Bible student to break a bad habit like smoking.
Now, David may not realize it, or maybe he just doesn't care, but he has a problem here. He goes into great detail about the ways in which a Bible study can fail by the hands of the teacher. What if the teacher isn't consistent enough? What if they bring up something too early and scare off their study? In these moments, Splane reveals the preaching work of Jehovah's Witnesses as a definitively human process, one in which a Jehovah's Witness can make a fairly simple mistake and lose the sale. I mean, turn off a potential convert. However, theologically, this is not what Watchtower teaches. Watchtower is clear in its publications that people convert to the religion because they are drawn to it by Jehovah. Jesus' ransom sacrifice was provided not because we are worthy, but because we are loved. No man can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, said Jesus. On another occasion, he stated, "No one comes to the Father except through me." It is by means of Holy Spirit that Jehovah draws individuals to himself through Jesus and helps them remain in his love with everlasting life in view. A life story in the October 1st, 2003 Watchtower entitled Jehovah Draws Humble Ones to the Truth, which is written or told by Asano Kushino, says, "How very grateful I am to Jehovah for drawing me to the truth by means of Maud and the early missionaries." Maud got involved with that one. And in the August 2014 public edition of the Watchtower, in an article entitled God Reaches Out to You, it concludes by saying, Jehovah made sure that those who were seeking him had an opportunity to know him, who today call on people in their homes and in public areas to share the Bible's message about God. Many would answer, Jehovah's Witnesses. Ask yourself, could it be that God is using them to reach out to me? Now, in this last quote, Watchtower makes it clear that the way Jehovah draws people to the organization is through Jehovah's Witnesses. So not Jesus, as mentioned in that first quote, by the way. Watchtower frequently references 1 Corinthians 3:7, which states that it is God who makes it grow, meaning, according to Watchtower, that God is the one who literally grows a potential convert's desire to join the religion. Jehovah makes seeds of truth grow in the hearts of those who are rightly disposed for everlasting life. We work along with him by focusing our efforts in the ministry on those who respond to what they learn. This is unambiguous. It's Jehovah who draws people to him and causes their faith in him to grow. And this is the way Watchtower typically paints things. Witnesses give people an opportunity to, quote-unquote, learn the truth, and if the student rejects the study or drags his feet for too long, that means he's not rightly disposed for everlasting life. This explanation puts it all on the student. God drew them, and should this Bible student have the nerve to reject God and his message, then the study should be discontinued. They are not rightly disposed. They'll be rightly disposed of in the trash.
For me, from the time I started studying until I dedicated my life to Jehovah and got baptized, it was a couple of years. I'm so happy I started attending meetings and never looked back.
I'm not sure I'm ready for that kind of commitment. Maybe someday.
We appreciate your honesty. For now, though, it's best that we discontinue the Bible study.
But with David Splane's explanation, we have a paradox of sorts.
What about opposition? That can be tricky. Bring it up too soon, and you might scare them off. Wait too long, and it may be too late.
If it's true that Jehovah, through the invisible hand of the Holy Spirit or whatever, draws people to him, and he's the one who makes their faith in him grow, why then should witnesses be worried about scaring people off or bringing something up too early? God, they believe, is infallible, so he would certainly not be fallible in drawing people to him. So let's say in the case that a witness brings up something like going to the meetings, or the suspicious amount of people online who have negative things to say about Jehovah's Witnesses too early, and the student gets uncomfortable and discontinues the study, whose fault is that? Is it God? Was he not drawing them to him hard enough? Is it the student? Should they just be willing to endure every cringy thing their Bible teacher says if they're getting bad vibes? Or is it the witness for not being polished enough in her teaching ability? Spoiler, it's that last one, mostly. See, earlier in the talk, David Splane talks about how every Bible study tool that Watchtower has ever released was perfect for its time. And now the times have changed, so time for a new tool.
Now let's stop here and be very clear. We deeply appreciate all of the study material that we've had over the years. It's always been great for the times. Now, maybe like me, you cut your teeth on Let God Be True. This means everlasting life. The truth shall make you free. Those books were just perfect for the period just after World War II.
But in the same breath, he says things like this.
Some get baptized before they've covered the second book. And that's a pity, because they're losing out on practical information on Christian living that they really need to have. And then some of our brothers and sisters are not even using the Jehovah's Will brochure to direct interest to the organization. The Jehovah's Will brochure? What's that? Exactly.
Seems like some of you, not naming names, Jacqueline, haven't been using the Jehovah's Will brochure. You don't even know what the brochure is, do you dumb animals? And isn't it a shame that some witnesses aren't making sure that their students are studying the God's Love book before they get baptized? There's zero indication that the leadership have done anything wrong. No. Everything was perfect for its time. So if something isn't working, it isn't God, and it isn't the perfect tools. It's you. Personally, I think David Splane is a perfect tool. When do the tools stop being perfect, by the way? Like, it takes a while for Watchtower to write, illustrate, and print their publications. So from the time the governing body determines the need for a new Bible study program to the time when the program is implemented, do the studies falling in that interim, not count? Are the publications perfect up until the exact moment the new one shows up on jw.org? There is no answer, because it's a grift. It doesn't make sense, and it's not necessarily supposed to. Because all of this keeps Jehovah's Witnesses in a state of constant self-doubt. Am I doing this right? Am I doing absolutely everything I can to make my studies a success? My Bible student decided to cancel their study today. Is it because I'm doing something wrong? Am I being dedicated enough in the ministry? Am I effectively using the tools these old guys, Jehovah, provides? And the answer is no. The student just wasn't rightly disposed for everlasting life. Probably. Or, maybe it's you. Hard to say. Guess we'll find out when Armageddon starts. Hopefully you make it. This talk reveals the cognitive dissonance necessary to be a Jehovah's Witness. You have to be able to believe that the ministry is guided by Jesus and the angels, and that Jehovah is drawing people to him and making them grow in faith. And at the same time, you also have to equally believe that this is an imperfect organization run by imperfect people. Times change, so we need to change our study methods, and we have to be dedicated evangelizers who constantly work on our teaching skills, because if we're a bad teacher, we could mess this whole thing up. If a study goes well and the student becomes a Jehovah's Witness, all credit goes to God. He drew them to him. If the study fails, well, that might be on you, actually. As a Jehovah's Witness, you can expect to get none of the credit and all of the blame.
Wouldn't it be great?
Anyway, that is it. This talk is really crazy, and there's much more that could be said about it, but other XJW YouTubers have done just that. I really enjoyed Lloyd Evans' points he made in his annual meeting rebuttal. I would recommend that. So, yeah, a bit of a short video. I just had to get some thoughts out on that. I am working on a much longer video that is a deep dive into a subject that, as far as I know, hasn't really been covered in much depth before. So, look forward to that. Subscribe and do all the things. Thanks. Bye.